Okay, this morning I started off by doing some paper trading and kind of quickly realized that it was a fairly good day to trade. It looked like it was dropping, and it was at a good place right through here. So I switched over to the real eval here and jumped into a short. And I didn't capture all of my analyzing this morning, but basically it looks like a good setup here. I'll probably touch on that later. But anyway, okay, so this is kind of what I'm expecting to happen here. Okay, and as it dropped, I first of all lowered my stop to break even, and then I locked in some profit. I'm at a $200 profit right through here, and then it kind of slowed down and I got out. So I think I lowered, let me think here, 52.50. I believe I lowered my stop even a little bit further because I made, gosh, I can't remember. I didn't write it down here. Anyway, I think I made around $200 on that first trade. All right, and then I decided that it had gone flat for quite a while, and then it kind of was making noises like it wanted to go back up again. And I figured that that was a counter trend, probably not the best of trades, but it might just work out. So I got into a long and got stopped out. So I lost 180 something, I think 87 on that trade, which almost knocked out all of the profits for the first trade, I was kind of upset with myself about that. It's like, yeah, I knew better than that. Even if it did go up, trading against the trend like that one is such a strong trend. It's a very sure trend. That's a really bad idea. Just don't do it. Don't do it, even if it's going up. That's what's so tempting. Is like, oh, I think I can catch it going both back and forth, and then you can make twice as much money, but it just doesn't really work that way. So you just need to wait for a good opportunity and keep trading with that trend. All right. This is a bit of news that came out. I happen to agree with it. Again, I don't really put a lot of weight in this, but it's just kind of interesting to see, I suppose. It also sometimes tells me about things that I might not know about that are coming that would affect the market. Just to keep an eye on the news there. All right, so I have put an ideal order in. This is a POC that is based off of a volume profile that I set up for the overnight trading hours. I was kind of playing around with that, trying to see if that would give me any information that I found to be valuable. We'll talk about that later too, when I see the bigger screens. I hope anyway. So anyway, I think that's where the majority of orders overnight have been placed, and you can see we're pretty far below that. So I think it is likely that it's going to be heading up, and I would like to get into a short when it gets close to that point. And if it does, even just placing a stop right here, which is above the last peak, and except for this weird wick thing here, it's above this peak as well. So it's a good spot. That's not much of a loss, and it could potentially drop all the way down to here again, which would be a tremendous trade. So this is really the ideal place that I would like to get in. Just kind of trying to wait for that to happen. Let me go back one more time. So that's at 5:59. All right, 5:59. Well, this is what happened at 9:30. It went down a little bit and then popped back up again, and then kind of hit a resistance level. And at 9:32, I really thought that it was done going up. I didn't think it was maybe even going to have enough momentum to get up to the POC again, which is sometimes possible. So I jumped into a short here with a stop, and this is a decent trade. It's a 1 to 2 setup, and I like where everything's set up. However, when I went out to the 5-minute chart, this concerned me. We are starting to gain some upward momentum, and you can definitely see a hook develop here with the bodies of the candles. And so I thought, I don't know about this trade. I just don't think it's going to work out well. So while I was on the 5-minute chart, I raised up my limit order to break even and got out. All right. And you can see that trade right through here. I made $0 on that. So that was break even. Here's the first trade. I was off a little bit by my numbers. I made 212, and then on the second one I lost 175. So I didn't completely knock myself out on that trade. But anyway, I was disappointed. So, all right. So this is then what happened. This is the 5-minute chart, and I'm trying to gain some perspective by looking at a little bit bigger picture. And you can see my volume profiles right through here. Not a very clear picture. It just looks kind of messy right now. But anyway, this is the ideal setup that I still have going on here. And I placed this exit order based off of just above the bottoms of the bodies down here of that floor, that support level. So I think that's a pretty good spot. Anywhere above that would be fine too. All right. Meanwhile, it went up a little bit, and just like I thought, it didn't get very far. It kind of petered out, and then it started to dribble down, and it did a little shelf here, and then it started to drop again, and I waited for quite some time on that and decided, yeah, I think it might be okay. So I got into a short here, and this is way above that last point, I'm pretty sure. Let me go back and look. So that's at 534. Yeah. So I raised it up, actually not that many points, maybe 5 points above the bottom that I originally thought. And I have a fairly tight stop, but it's in a good spot. So I'm happy with that. It sat there for a little bit before it made this big drop, and then I was like, okay, yes, it'll be fine. I will be just fine. So first thing I did, of course, was break even, which I didn't catch that screenshot because this happened pretty quickly. And then as it dropped, I locked in some profit. So I've locked in, this is $200 that I've locked in. So I'm happy with that. At this point, I'm making money. I don't know how much yet, but I will make some money. All right. And this is what I tend to do, and I think it's correct. I don't know. It's always a little iffy. But as it drops down, I just kind of sandwich that order so that it doesn't bounce up and I lose all my profits. And in doing so, sometimes I make a little bit more, sometimes I only make this much. And there's about $100 difference between that. So I'm kind of not maximizing my profits, and might be reacting in a scared way, fear maybe a little bit by doing this. But I've often had it save me as well and get me some profit when it zipped back up again and I would lose everything. So I don't really regret doing this. It's just, you don't know where you're going to be getting out at this point. And it did hit my stop. So on that order, I made $350, which I'm happy with. I'm very happy with that. I could have made more, I suppose, but it could have been $450, which would have been awesome too. But you're just not sure about that jump, if it's going to make that jump up again. All right, so that was 4 trades, and I have made 3 good ones and 1 bad one, and you can see everything here except for the break even. I kind of cleaned up this screen as well so I could see what I'm doing. So I made $365.70 for the day if you take out my commissions, and I think that is where I want to stop. If we go back, we can see that I stopped at 9:48. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to talk about. I had written down on my rules sheet that I didn't want to trade between 9:29 and 9:45, and this is definitely before that point. When I started trading again, I got out at about, the time when I thought I was going to start. And the reason that I did that was just because it wasn't moving super duper fast right after the opening bell, and I felt like the movement was slow enough and sure enough that I could do that. So basically, I can bend the rules for the time. If if it looks like it's a decent time to trade, I'm going to keep using my brain on that, not just blindly following the rules. And I don't regret that at all. So I think that was a good call. Even if it had gone wrong, I still think it was a good call. So, and one last thing, I calculated my week's totals, and you can see each day what happened. And it's really interesting to see, because this is the first week that I really tried to really stick to my rules to see if they will help me out, because the issues have been that on big streaks of lost days, my emotions get a hold of me and I start making reckless trades and I get frustrated, and I usually knock myself out of the game pretty quickly. But that did not happen this week. As you can see, we did end up at a loss for the week, but let's walk through it each day. So the first day, I followed my rules. I lost 213. Second day, I did not follow my rules, and I lost a little bit more. And I can't remember. I wish I could have gone back and looked at that. But if I had followed my rules, I think I would have lost about half that amount. All right. So bear that in mind. On the third day, on Wednesday, I followed my rules, and I made 116. And then that afternoon, I broke my rules and kept trading in the afternoon, because I thought it was a good setup. I thought I could do it, and I didn't. I lost the profit for the day and a little bit more, so I lost 239 that day. And then on Thursday, I also followed my rules, and I only lost $28.80, which is pretty great. I think I went back and forth a little bit on that day, and then I stopped. And then today, I finally was able to make a profit. Now, if I had knocked out the 2 days where I did not follow my rules, I think I would have at least had a break-even week, which is fine. That is acceptable. That is considered good trading sometimes on hard weeks. So yeah, I would say these rules are working, and I just need to not let big streaks of lost days like this week discourage me, and I need to not let them make me make reckless trades and get knocked out of my eval. So I'm very happy with that, actually. And that is something that I can recover from pretty quickly. That's not a huge loss. So anyway, the other thing to notice about this, one of my rules is that I like to try to make sure that my losses for each trade are not greater than my smallest gain. And if you look at that per day, this is bigger than my biggest loss. So if I said that right, I think that's really hard for my brain to comprehend, but to speak it. But anyway, I did follow that as well. So basically, what's kind of encouraging to me is if I go back through my log, this profit day actually knocked out 3 days of losses for me. So that is awesome. That is really, really awesome. I'm very happy with that. 3 or almost 4 days actually of losses. So yeah, I'm excited. I think this is great.